Good morning. Today's a big day because we're getting out of here. We've been here for about 6 weeks or so, something like that, which is about 5.5 weeks longer than we thought we'd be. That's the way it goes. This boat needed a bunch of work, and now it's done, and now it works, so we can leave. So from where we are here in Puerto Madero, it takes us about 2 days to get to Huatulco. And in terms of big ocean passage making, 2 days is pretty minor, but it's still 2 days at sea. Being at sea, it's not exactly easy, even for just 2 days. So for us, we try to make it as comfortable as possible. Can't do anything about the sea state. That's just going to be what it is. But what we can do is try to keep as much heat out of this boat as possible. And that means making some food ahead of time. Normally, if we were in higher latitudes or cooler weather, we'd make some pre-done meals where you could just reheat them. Here, we don't want any heat. It's blazing hot. Pasta salads, hummus, potato salad, muffins, anything we can just eat straight out of the fridge without heating it up. Even beyond just the foods, we'll go as far as making some cold brewed coffee. Again, all stuff that we won't have to cook, partly because of the heat and partly because it's going to be pretty rolly. So we're going to have a pretty busy morning. Brenda's actually going to be working on her bug screen or cockpit enclosure. Hopefully that'll get wrapped up so we can use it, because bugs are miserable, especially in a place like this. And actually in Huatulco, they're going to be pretty bad there too. So screen's going to be great. I'm going to work on making some food, and then we'll be out of here. That's pretty exciting. Can't wait. See you in a bit. In our last episode, we took a little tour of my friend's boat. This time around, after nearly 6 weeks of constant boat work, we head back to sea and finally get back into cruising mode. But before we go, we've got to take care of a couple last-minute things.
Next level.
While I was busy filling up our fridge with quick and easy ready-made meals, Brenda, she was working on a mad dash last-minute push to finish up our cockpit bug screen. After all of that was done, after 6 weeks of unplanned boat work, it was finally time. We were getting out of here.
Next level.
We're moving! This is exciting! So we're sailing along. We got about 10-12 knots. Pretty much on the nose, but we're sailing. Can't beat that. This first 24 hours is going to be either an upwind motor or an upwind sail. It's going to be on the nose pretty much. Along with the wind, it's going to be up current and up swell. So maybe a little bouncy, may not be the most comfortable ride, but we're moving! But even better than just we're moving, there's 2 other boats coming with us. We've got Jason and Jen on Danica behind us, and John and Sue, a couple we just met here in the marina. So we've got a 3-way drag race. And right now, we're winning! We got the racing stripe! I'm excited about this, if you can't tell. Feels pretty good. Feels pretty good to be out here. But it is blazing hot. Holy crap.
And because of that blazing heat, Brenda's newly made movable sunshades, they came in pretty handy.
Danica, adventurer on 6'8". How are you guys doing back there?
We're catching up, man. I think, let's see, 8 knots with a breeze in the main. I told you about.
Wow, you guys are screaming.
Yeah, that was a lie. No, we're only doing like between 4.5 and 5.
We're doing about 5.5 right now, so we're doing, well, if it stays like this, we'll be thrilled.
Even with some pretty great sailing to start out, and the fact that we were a few miles from shore, this fresh batch of stowaways, well, Brenda wasn't having it.
Hold on.
For the next 36 hours, our time at sea would be a fairly mixed bag, full of some pretty great sailing, a pretty lumpy, bumpy, and bouncy ride, and then, of course, moments of pure calm magic. But mostly, that bag was full of some pretty rowdy sailing, which had us leaned over on our ear, pounding through some steep chop that made life on board a little less than uncomfortable at best. And after roughly 36 hours, well, everything changed. All of a sudden, it was simply calm. So we fired up the motor and listened to that thing for another 16 hours.
If you've ever watched Sailorama, Robbie and Justine, great folks, this is their lucky lure. Robbie gave me this at the end of the season last year. Gonna try it out. Thanks, Robbie. He catches tons of fish with this thing. Well, what a difference a couple of hours makes. We've been getting pretty beat up since we left for about the last 36 hours. But over the last couple of hours, it's flattened out. It's like we're back on a lake. As much as I prefer to sail, it's kind of a nice break. Because Brenda's been pretty seasick since we left, and Jason and Jen behind us, they've been pretty seasick as well. And they've been having a pretty rough go of it. Their autopilot crapped out, so they kind of had to hand steer through some pretty hefty bashing for a while. Got about another 12, 14 hours to go, and we'll be there. But now it's so nice, we're fishing. That's pretty great. Let's see if we catch something. We actually already had one on, we lost it, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. See you on the other side.
After a couple of days at sea, we made it here. And a handful of hours after we made it, Jason and Jen pulled in. And a couple of hours after Jason and Jen, in came Valkyrie. And what do you do after a successful crossing? Well, that's easy. You gotta go in the water to cool off.
You're supposed to take clothes off.
Wow, the sun is brutal.
Hi, Jason. We're cruising. Ah, that's better. Woo! Well, we made it. We're anchored in a place called Bahia de Tongalunga. I think that's what it is. But all the cruisers, they call it Club Med Anchorage. Because there used to be a Club Med right on the shore. Now it's just a big all-inclusive resort. But we're here! That's pretty exciting. It actually feels pretty good to be out of a marina and actually cruising. We got our celebratory swim out of the way. Brenda's still in the water. In the passage, it took us 2 days, but 36 hours of it, roughly, it was pretty rough. For a good portion of it, we had 6 to 8 foot swell that we were bashing through that, yeah, it was just a bouncy, rough ride. It's pretty hard to actually show that on a camera, mostly because when it's pretty rough out, we're just holding on for dear life. And really, Brenda was pretty seasick. She doesn't want a camera on her when she's seasick. Well, Brenda, Jason, and Jen were all pretty seasick for a good portion of it. But Jason gets the award because he's the only one who threw up. Nice job, Jason. Way to go. But they had hand steer for basically the whole trip. But they made it. They pulled it together, held on. Nice job, team. Way to go. So now we're here. We're going to enjoy this place for a bit. And middle of next week, there's another weather window that we'll probably take and start working our way up the coast again. Keep pushing on up. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
So, until next time, we're gonna do our best to ease back into cruising mode and soak in our surroundings.